Alrighty, guys. So I want to keep this very, very short, or as short as possible. So I basically just want to explain what is going to be required for the front matter and the back matter. And the main section that we haven't talked about yet is the abstract section. Okay. My notes are over here, so it's going to kind of look weird that I'm looking over here. But so with our abstract, you are required to write an abstract. Um, take note of the description here in the text called IMRAD content guidelines. We're writing an abstract, not an informative one, or an informative one, sorry, not a descriptive one. The only difference between these really is that the descriptive abstract does not give away the ending. The informative abstract does give away the ending, okay? And we want to give away the ending, much like the introduction, okay? At least from my class. So your abstract should be a full summary of your IMRAD, which kind of means that you're going to cover all of those basic sections that we saw in the signal phrases template for the introduction. And so those same 6 sections will also belong in the abstract. The main difference with the abstract is we're not involving secondary research here. Okay, you don't cite any sources in the abstract, but don't plagiarize. Okay, don't copy and paste things. You're not going to be you're not going to be citing information here. You're just going to be mentioning all of these main points, these 6 main points of the very basic question about the introduction, background information, immediately going into the problem and research question and gap and results and implication, all of that. Okay. It should be between 150 and 250 words. Make sure you format it correctly for the citation style, because both styles do have specific guidelines on what an abstract will look like and how it will be formatted. And one other thing that we actually haven't talked about is the title. All right. So be advised that your research question is not allowed to be your title. I have never seen, and maybe it exists, but I've never seen in all of the time in every single report that I've ever read online that's been published, I've never seen one where they had their research question as their title. Sometimes they have a question as their title, but not their primary research question that's driving their whole research. With our project, I'm not allowing questions as titles, okay? No questions as titles, and your research question should definitely not be your title. Your research question should definitely be in the report, written as a research question, most likely written in both the abstract and the introduction, okay? So I should be able to access your research question, but it shouldn't be your title. So what is a title? It's a name. It's a thing that think of, you name your cat, right? Minus right there. So it should be concise, it should be brief, it should be to the point, informative. I'm going to say no questions for ours. This is really what gets people into reading your report, and the Scientist Guide to Writing did go over this briefly. So if you guys want to get some information on titles, you can always check that out. I think it was, what chapter was it? It was chapter 8 and possibly chapter 9, I think, as well. This is the brief overview of these things, and so you can look at that as well. Yeah, I think it was chapter 9. Anyway, okay, let's look at one more thing here. All right, so title, engaging, good title. You're graded on your title. Okay, it has to be effective, not a question. Abstract, make sure you do that. So those are the 2 main sections that we really haven't dived into yet. We have so many resources that we've read on the IMRAD. We have our Scientist Guide to Writing, a technical comm, and chapter 18 and chapter 19 go over the IMRAD with our technical communication textbook. And then we also have our MIT option. So if you guys want to check out the MIT resource, you can check that out under the finals week as well. And so that's kind of why I don't want to spend forever on this video, because I think we've talked about a lot of these things and you guys have gone over a lot of these things. So let's talk about exactly what I'm requiring for the front matter and the back matter. I do need some kind of cover of some kind. For APA style, you're required to have a cover page. For IEEE, there's not always a cover page. I do want you to add a cover page. You can format it like they format the example here if you're using IEEE, okay? If you're using APA style, format it in APA style. If you're using IEEE, you can use this example wherever it is at, if we ever find it. Like this one right here, okay? And in fact, if you're using APA and you use this cover page right here, I think I'll be okay with it as well. Just make sure that your abstract is formatted correct per APA or IEEE guidelines, all right? Okay, let's go back. So we do need a title page, cover page, title page, whatever you want to call it. Abstract is necessary. You do not need a letter transmittal. In fact, I do not want a letter transmittal, sorry, or an executive summary. Both of these things I do not want to see, all right? These, a cover title page, yes, one of those. You don't need both. Abstract, absolutely required. These two are optional if you find that it will be effective rhetorically, and if you want to kind of go above and beyond, and if your report is getting quite long. If it's shorter, maybe it doesn't need it, but if it's a little bit longer of a report, maybe you might consider using it, okay? Obviously, we need an introduction, methods, results, discussion, right? Not conclusion and recommendations. These two are optional as well. I think, yeah, they're optional. I think most of us won't need them. If you want to try to do it, go for it, but I think most of us won't need it, okay? References are obviously mandatory, okay? You're not allowed to plagiarize on this assignment. And then appendices are also mandatory. You need an appendix for your aggregated data of your primary research for each method of primary research. And so you'll have, either one or two or three or whatever appendices for primary research data. So I can access that if I want to look at your data there. And then if you use sources that are in a different language and you translate it for your report, then just use that source like you normally would in the report. Look up how to cite it like you would like any other source. But then what I ask of you, because it's a different language and because we're an English speaking university, what I want is an appendix where you summarize using your summary techniques you learned from 150. You summarize that entire source, whatever it is. Okay. So if it's a full page on a website, like an article, if it's a full scholarly article, whatever it is, just summarize the entire source in an appendix. And then if I want to access the source and maybe like use Google Translate or Google Chrome to translate it for me to like look further, then I can do that. But I would like a translated thing so I can kind of quickly see what the source is about. And so you'll briefly tell me, the author and the name of the work, and then explain what they're saying, whether it's a story or an argument or whatever, right? Okay. Those are the major front matter and back matter concepts. Again, you're going to be using IEEE or APA style. And yeah, so really the things that we haven't covered though that you really need to do is the title page and the abstract. You'll be building your references and appendices over time. These are things that you should be doing over time. Obviously, the most important things are these things, right? And so if you're quite behind and you're watching this, like, then maybe you just need to still focus on these things and go back if you haven't already, or watch them again, the videos, or go through the readings, whatever you need to do to understand these sections. Or maybe at this point it's just about writing them and doing the continuing to do the research. But if you want to start to develop the document as a whole, you are also graded on formatting and all of that. Okay. One final point that I wanted to make is, before we end this here, be prepared to turn the final project, the IMRaDR report final, by December 5th. Okay, I've given a lot of extensions to help y'all. I cannot give an extension on the very final IMRaDR. If you don't turn it in remember that you will automatically fail the course. Okay, this is written in our syllabus and it's required to turn this in. Um, you you will be allowed to turn it in a little bit late with penalties. Okay, so the first day you turn it in late, 10% deduction, then a 20%, then a 30%. If you try to turn it in on day 4, you cannot, and you automatically fail the course. Okay, after if it's 4 days late. And I can't give you guys an extension under any circumstances with this one, just because I have to get those grades and that feedback back to you guys, and the grades all inputted in time. And I have to read through all these 40-20 page IMRaDR reports. Okay, so I have my work cut out for me there. Just remember that this is worth a lot of your grade, and you want to put some time into it. Okay. um, yeah. All right. I think that's it. I'm not going to let this message or this video go too long. And we'll talk to you guys again soon.